Hello everyone. So today's video is going to be focused upon chakra balancing. And this video is mainly for people that know the basics about chakras, like what they are and where they're located and all that other stuff. Today's video, I really just want to talk about ways to balance them. But this is going to be a slightly different perspective because I have a little bit of a different view when it comes to chakra balancing. Like a lot of people that are trying to balance their chakras, sometimes I call them energy centers. I prefer to call them that because that is what they are. They're energy centers. They're pools of energy. So when people talk about wanting to balance their energy centers or their chakras, they typically use a few methods. So they may use like a chakra balancing meditation, which is typically like visualizing each chakra as like a certain color and it's spinning vibrantly and it's clear. Some people may also use crystals. Some people may also use sound healing, which is personally my favorite. I really like to use like binaural beats meditations. Some people use singing bowls. Some people use like color therapy. So they may wear a certain color or they eat a food that's a certain color to help balance out the energy centers. And I like the food method too. I like the food method and I also like the clothing method. So wearing the clothing wearing clothing that is the color of the energy center that you're trying to balance. That's also very good. And I like crystals too. I really like all of these methods, but I feel beyond these methods, I feel that in order to really help to bring your energy centers into balance, you have to have an awareness of them. And this is where my perspective comes in. I personally feel that a lot of people are not aware of their energy centers. I feel like people have an idea of what their energy centers look like, or what they're supposed to look like, what they're supposed to be associated with, what color they're supposed to be. But having an idea of something is not the same thing as being connected to the reality of something, okay? So this is where I feel like it's very important that to help bring your chakras into balance, you have to have an awareness of them, and you can gain a stronger sense of awareness of your energy centers by paying attention to them. See, I keep things very simple. Like, I can be detailed at times and I can be very specific, but I really do feel that spirituality and holistic health can also be very simple. So when it comes to bringing our chakras into balance, I personally feel what I like to do to bring an awareness to my energy centers, I like to spend a few minutes focusing on each one. So let's say you want to balance the root center, right? So you take a moment and you pay attention to the main point of that energy center. So it could be like your pelvic area, like the tailbone or something like that. And when you imagine this area or you focus on it, what you really want to do is sit in the energy of that space. So basically, you want to bring your awareness into the energy of that space. And when you bring your energy into the awareness of that space, what you really want to do is sit there. So basically meditate on it, sit in it, get very comfortable with how it feels to sit and be in the energy of that energy center. Now, in order to be able to spot any differences or to be able to sense any kind of differentiation, you're really going to have to you're going to have a stronger awareness of yourself and how you feel on a regular basis. So that, again, also takes a certain amount of self-awareness. Okay, so if you get more comfortable and familiar with yourself, just generally when you're going throughout your day, doing this exercise will be a lot easier. So I like to send the awareness into that energy center, sit there, and then as you're sitting there in the energy of whatever center you're trying to gain an awareness of, see what comes to you. See what images come to you. So some of these images may be memories, okay, because these energy centers hold a lot in them. So let me just finish my thought. You may see memories of things that have happened to you in the past. You may see people that you've been associated with in the past or maybe even in the present. you may see animals, okay? And I may actually do another video on this in the future about the animals. You may see a certain landscape, so when you enter that energy center, you may find yourself in another landscape, like let's say it might be outside somewhere, it may be in a park, it may be somewhere that you've never been before, it may be someplace that you're totally unfamiliar with, okay? And you may also get a certain physical sense, so you may have certain sensations that you feel. So when you tune into the energy center that you're trying to gain an awareness of, you may actually feel, let's say, emotional, or you may feel very tight, you may feel restricted, you may feel very joyful, you may also feel maybe a little bit sensitive, or like a little bit like overwhelmed. So you really want to pay attention to what emerges for you when you sit in the energy of the chakra that you're focusing on, okay? And another way that that I like to do this is, so now each energy center, each chakra has a certain color that we typically associate it with. But I prefer, when I'm focusing on my energy centers to balance them, I actually prefer to see them as white, all of them being as white. And the reason for that is all because your chakras, the idea of your chakras is like they're supposed to be a certain color. But the thing is, depending on where you are in your life, depending on what you're going through, depending on what's shifting and what's changing for you, your chakras may not be that color. So, you know, your root center may be blue or may be green, or let's say your heart might be red, or I know there was one time when I was doing some chakra balancing where my crown was actually orange, and typically people associate the crown with being, let's say, like a violet, some say white, some say gold, you know, there are different colors that it could be, but I saw my crown chakra as being orange, which is different than the typical, and I know for some people I've seen, let's say, their third eye as being green. So and the colors represent different things, like there are different associations with each color depending on what your personal color library is. So what you associate a color with in your own perspective. Okay, so yeah, so when you're focusing on each energy center one by one, see them all as being white and see what color comes up for you when you're focusing on it. That will tell you a lot about what is going on in that energy center and overall what's happening with you. So the bottom line, the point that I'm trying to make here is that in order for you to really bring your chakras into alignment and into balance, you have to get familiar with them, aka you have to get familiar and comfortable with yourself, okay? Because we tend to see the chakras as a system. And I notice a lot of people, when they want to balance their chakras, they see it as something almost like that it's separate from them. You know, that they want to balance their, let's say, their throat chakra, but it's almost like they don't see it as, well, you know, they could sing more, or, you know, they could express themselves more through writing. I feel like people they tend to not be practical with ways of balancing their energy centers. And I mean, that's fine, but I feel like a very important layer of balancing something with, like, energetically and within the body is to really get in tune with it, get in touch with it. Because a lot of times when things are out of alignment for us, there are things within us, like traumas or things that have happened to us that were hurtful, that we haven't acknowledged. So really, the all of who we are needs acknowledgement. It needs love, it needs care, and it needs support. You know, our body is screaming out for us to pay attention to it. So I really am encouraging body awareness, soul awareness, mind, mental, emotional awareness, in order to bring balance to bring holistic balance to yourself. Okay, so that's just my perspective. I wanted to share that because I haven't really heard people talk about it, so I felt like I wanted to share it with everyone. So let me know if this was helpful for you, and I'll see you around for the next video. I love you all, and take care.